Hi there, I'm CCP Dolan here with CCP Fozzie, and we're bringing to you Ronin and the Pixies versus the Expendables. So Ronin and Pixies have banned out a Guardian and Oneros, and Expendables have banned out a Kronos and a Slipnir. So what do we have on the field here?
So the Ronin team has brought Widows, or a Widow. So they've brought themselves some strong ECM in the Widow, but then the rest of the team is built around heavy tanking. We've got a Vulture, which gives great bonuses to your team for its tanking ability and shields. Basilisks do the repping, Cyclones, and then Assault Frigates. This is a really dedicated heavy tanking shield team, which is interesting because they banned out the most powerful armor tanking tools. Meanwhile, the Expendables have brought out Claymores, Basilisks, Cyclones, and Jaguars. This is a team that's going to have a lot of good ganglinks and just be able to use those ASBs to their great effect. So lots of strong tanks.
They brought out Claymores after banning Slipners.
Yes. Possibly using that as misdirection. Claymores don't do as much damage as Sleipnirs, but they do tank more and can more easily fit multiple ganglinks.
Do you like Claymores more than Slipners?
No. Sleipnirs are my favorite ship in the tournament.
Neither do I.
But they are really good. I really like the idea of having maybe some Sleipnirs than one Claymore, or one Claymore with some Cyclones, that kind of mix. Having two, it can work. They do tank really well. They do actually do pretty decent damage for a fleet command ship.
But you can see here that the Ronin and the Pixies team tanks slightly more,
yes,
as is evidenced by their defense bar.
A fairly ridiculous defense bar.
Yeah. They went full tilt for it.
Yep.
We have damage coming in on the Basilisk, of course, the weak link in that chain of massive tanks.
That Basilisk is running an ASB itself, so it's tanking extremely well, but we're not sure how well it's going to be able to tank once it is done with those ASB charges. However, what it's doing is, this is very clever. We've got a very dedicated tanking setup from Ronin in that they have brought a cap transferring Widow. Yep. The Widow and the Basilisk are transferring cap to each other so that that Basilisk can continue to run its ASB forever. It doesn't need the charges in it.
And both these tank setups have just chosen to, they're going to get in each other's face and brawl. They're going to keep, in the case of the Expendables, their Basilisk a little bit safer, but a little bit farther away from the fight. But they're just right on top of each other, trying to slam it out.
So with the constant repping that can be done by that Basilisk, these can be very hard to break. But really, the Expendables doesn't have any other option. They also are using smart bombs to defend their team, smart bombs on the Widow. This is a very, very defensive. This is probably the most defensive setup we've ever seen in this tournament so far. Really built around killing a few ships and surviving the whole match. And they're in the good position right now.
They have killed a few ships.
Have killed a few ships, and all they need to do now is keep their stuff alive.
Killing a few ships is step one in their successful plan of step one, kill a few ships.
We have seen some teams that have that plan failing horribly at the kill a few ship stage in the past, but this time they've managed to get those kills. It's actually a pretty decent collection with the Cyclone to help them. At this point, if I was the Expendables, I'd be just trying to get a kill here and there. My best bet actually would be to go after the Cyclone.
Yes.
But we'll see. They obviously are not breaking that Basilisk. And the good thing about the cap transferring Basilisk setup, unlike the other ASBs where we see them repping a lot, but then they're not going to rep anymore after a minute or so, this thing can rep like that forever.
Yep, it can just keep running and running that local rep. The Expendables just don't have the damage with those Claymores. Like, most famously in my mind in terms of tank setups is the Agony Empire team from the previous Alliance Tournament 10. They sort of had a team that tanked forever and looked like they could win until there was about a minute left in the match, and then everything fell apart.
Or Ferox in that case, wasn't it?
Everything fell apart terribly, and things just went belly up, and they lost.
If the Expendables had brought a higher damage team, so if they had Sleipnirs instead of the, like Sleipnirs they banned themselves instead of those Claymores, if they brought Cronoses, which they also banned, those would have actually been, Kronos not so much because of the damage type, but Sleipnirs would have been excellent. They would have been able to break through that Basilisk, I think. But with the team that they brought, low DPS, tanky, they essentially brought a moderately tanky setup to a tank war.
Yep.
And
what would you say would be the weakest or your least favorite setup to go up against one of these high tank shield setups?
To go, like, at that point, something like a Machariel, these longer range kiting teams, because they just won't be able to break anything. Unless it's artillery Machariel, then you can maybe get a alpha shot off on the frigs. Anything that, like, really what you need to beat this is either a massive amount of damage, or if you can get enough newts or ECM. It just isn't going to be enough. So the Expendables, they're not going to be completely out after this. They are going to be dropping down to what's turning into a vicious losers bracket. Wow! So whoever's coming out of this losers bracket on this side is going to...
Is war-torn, has scars.
This is the desert of
Chicks
losers
on
brackets.
both arms because he's such a man.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing because Expendables, Huns, a bunch of really good teams down here. But the Ronin Pixies team knocking out Y-Dash into the loser bracket and then knocking out Expendables. Those were probably the two teams I would have called the strongest before this, and Ronin has now defeated both of them.
Really, because I picked Ronin to win this match.
You did, and that was an excellent choice, it turns out.
I thought they were going to be the strongest.
So maybe
in
the
this
curse
match.
is actually just me
It's
and
just you
Soundwave.
and Soundwave. I'm pretty much good to go. Although I did have the incorrect pricks in the previous 4 matches,
Yeah,
basically every match day until now.
So I think we're now tied because I got the Tinker Hell and Alts match correct.
There we go.
On a technicality, essentially. But anyways, we're going to go back to the reason we're not talking so much about this match is it is at this point very slow. There isn't a ton of damage coming from the Ronin side, so they don't really have the easy ability to take down this Basilisk with the Claymores, but they are going to kill it eventually because it's unlike the Ronin Basilisk not cap transferring, so it can't run its rep forever.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of time before their assault frigates take it down, and this, I like it. I haven't seen a full tank setup with a Widow before, but it does work. The Widow having the free high slots to do the energy transferring, throwing a little bit of damage out itself, and I'm not even sure if they have ECM on it. Like we've got,
No,
we
they
got
do.
some ECM. Yep,
They
so
do
we
have
do
some
ECM. So the Widow might be a vulnerable target, but then it's got all the reps of the Basilisk on it.
Yeah.
It's hard to choose a primary, and that's
It's
a good
just-
sign for a setup, is when you look at it and it's hard to pick the primary.
Yeah, exactly. And with the Widow, if someone brings a high damage setup, but it's a high damage setup where all the damage is concentrated into a few ships,
Or Cronus's.
yeah, they're jammed. Sorry.
Yeah. Yep, if this team, it's strong. It's not the kind of setup you can bring over and over again, because people will come up with counters for it.
Yes.
If you give someone a week to think about this setup, they'll find a counter. So Ronin will be best off to not rely on this, maybe bring it out again once in a while, but not become predictable. But it's still a very strong setup, and I like
At the end of the day, most of these teams will know who they're fighting next Saturday. They'll have a full 5 days to practice setups, look at everything that they brought today, what bands they made, all that sort of stuff, and be able to bring a very, if in the case of a smart team, a pretty effective counter to everything that the other team showed up previously. So
Yeah.
you're going to have to keep bringing out new stuff every time.
But then in the case of other smart teams, they'll be looking at what they were showing to the rest of the match. They were looking at what they did in the first 2 days, and they'll say, we're going to do something different. We're going to use that against our opponents. That kind of psychological warfare, wheels within wheels, something that the best tournament teams do really well.
So you're saying that smart people are actually pretty good
Have
to
an
have on your
advantage
team.
in the tournament, yes.
Thinking about things is actually turns out to be pretty good.
And one team that obviously has some smart people on it is Ronin and the Pixies.
Yeah.
And
Do you think it's the Ronin or the Pixies? Because I don't typically... Are Pixies really smart? And I don't know.
I'm not sure.
I'm not a big mythology person.
I've never given them an IQ test. Yeah.
We should ask our Icelanders. Mythological creatures very popular in Iceland.
That may be part of why they're winning, is that the tournament itself is being organized from Iceland, so
Yeah.
the Pixies might be...
They have they have a home field advantage. But then again, T-Rex Thork is from Iceland and did lose.
It didn't help at all.
Yeah.
So as we now see one of these Claymores dropping down, he's also active tanking, but it's not going to be something that saves him. We've got 2 minutes left, and in that time, at least one of the Claymores will die, if not both. It's just really a matter of time. The teams have said in local, good fight. You're cool, Grats. These are guys that have been doing both teams I think are really strong. Like these are teams that could easily, we could see a rematch of this in the semifinals in this bracket. Very possible.
There is a lot of good manners from both teams. Actually, every team we've seen so far. No BM, no bad manner from any of these teams. They are all consummate gentlemen as this match slowly ticks away. Message us on the forums. Is there anything that you want to know that we maybe haven't mentioned? Are you new to the tournament? Say hi. Go to the forums.eveonline.com and you can go to the EVE tournament forum and check us out, see what's going on, post in our competitions, maybe win some free stuff. There's a lot of good things that you can do.
Yep, as we see this first of the 2 Claymores dropping down and is about to explode. And again, Ronin, one of the great things about this Ronin setup too is that since they didn't lose any ships, no one's going to be able to see from the kill mails exactly how they were fed. So they can still keep a level of secrecy there. That's something that I'm actually kind of interested to see how the Claymores were fit for the Expendables, whether they were both triple gang link or single gang link, but we'll be able to find that out on the kill boards tonight after the tournament. We won't, however, be able to find anything about the Ronin setup through those.
It is a wonderful thing to not lose your ships as well as win.
Yes, that is always a plus. Saves them money, too.
Yeah, it saves them cash.
Pretty expensive ships in this setup.
And you always know that with almost no work, they can bring this up again if they just have to enter ship.
Some new ammo.
Yeah, get new ammo, new charges for their ASBs.
Yeah, we got a shot there a second ago of the Vulture using blasters, actually applying some damage. Good use of every last chip on your team. Some people just think of the Vulture as dedicated, gang boosting, nothing else, but they've obviously done some effort to put some damage onto it too to help put them over the edge.
Yep. Do you like the... I always feel conflicted when I see a Vulture instead of a Tango.
In this case, the Vulture can more easily fit a big tank on itself while
and
fitting
catch the
3
crap
links.
transfers if it needs to, and
Tengus need to use a mid-slot module called a command processor to fit 3 links, while the Vulture can fit 3 links by default, and still fit a big mid-slot shield tank. So in this case, I'm definitely in favor of using the Vulture, when you need the Vulture to be able to survive as well.
It does also look cool as well.
It does, yes.
It does have a Ferrex hull, and that is the end of the match. So we will, with Ronin and the Pixies taking the victory, we will see you guys back in the studio after a short promo.